Call to order the Effingham County Board of Commissioners meeting this August 3rd, 2021. It's 5 o'clock p.m. I'm going to ask everyone if they would please, we have a roll call tonight, okay? We're going to do a roll call. We'll talk with the clerk. We're going to start doing that to register our attendance so it'll be on the voice and we'll know who all's here. So I'm going to go around and say, Mr. Floyd?
Here.
That's right. Mr. Burdette?
Here.
Mr. Kiefer?
Here.
Mr. Deloach?
Present.
Mr. Loper?
Present.
All right, with that, I'm going to ask everyone if they please stand and remain standing for the invocation and pledge allegiance flag led by Commissioner Village.
Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and please be with us this evening and help us to do your will. And thank you for your many blessings, and please be with our local, state, and world leaders, Lord, during this time. And in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have our agenda before us tonight. It's a little different format. But it's like a good format. Hopefully we'll get used to it and be able to do the one that will help us, I'm sure, in our organization. But is there any corrections or additions to our agenda?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We have a couple of item changes tonight. Under old business number 1 and 2, consideration to approve a contract with Green Rock Sustainable Waste Solutions for soil remediation at the Atlas site. Old business number 2, consideration to approve a contract with Thomas and Hutton Engineering for design and construction services for water and sewer line extension along Old Augusta Road. These items are to be withdrawn or removed from the agenda.
Okay, so with the approval of the agenda in just a minute, these items will be withdrawn because they were tabled.
Yes,
So
sir.
they're officially withdrawn.
Correct.
Any other additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, sir. On the new business, number 12, consideration to approve resolution number 021-039 for a call for referendum regarding the reimposition of the countywide special purpose local option sales tax. That item is to be postponed until the August 17th.
So we are, is that considered a table when you postpone them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so table till August 3rd, right?
August 17th.
August
It's
17th.
new business number 1.
New business
Number
number 12.
12. Okay, that'll be tabled to August 17th, 21. And I saw the correspondence from the cities to give us information about so we can consider that. So any other additions or corrections to this amendment?
So what's the reasoning for that?
Yes.
Already?
In order to approve the call to referendum, you have to have everything in place because the call to referendum references all those items. And we, while we're approving the IGA tonight, we're still waiting on project lists from Guyton and Rincon. And our understanding is they're forthcoming. We did get Springfield. So we can approve the IGA tonight. That gets sent out to the cities. I did let the cities know that we need them back before the start of the next meeting so that we can approve the call for referendum for hopefully 6 years because it would include an IGA.
So we're obviously still fine on our timeline.
We're still fine because we have to get it in by the end of the month.
Okay.
And one thing also too is we give the cities a clear delineation of the things that we need, like their list, IGA back, so they know what we need when we need it, so that we will not miss the opportunity. All right, any other corrections or additions to this agenda?
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the noted 3 corrections?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd. And second, Mr. Burdette, to approve the agenda with the 3 noted corrections. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries. Next item are minutes, consideration to approve the July 20, 2021 regular meeting minutes and July 26, 2021 special call meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to these minutes? Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Floyd to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. And the minutes are approved. We welcome those who are in attendance tonight from our constituents and the others of our staff. Comments tonight shall pertain, of course, only to agenda items that keeps business moving. And when speaking, if you would speak very clearly, speak into the microphone, and give your name, state your name clearly for the records, that would be very helpful. You keep your comments to 2 or 3 minutes, that's also helpful, so everyone has a chance to speak. If you need more time, we can allow that as necessary. The documents for this meeting are located in the clerk's office and also on the board commissioner's website. I hope you've had a chance to review those and prepared to speak when the appropriate time comes. With that, I'm going to move to our consent agenda. And one thing I do like about this agenda is the numbers are important now. Before I couldn't always align, so I like that part of it. Our consent agenda has several items. Let me read them. There are 7 items. Item number 1 is consideration to approve a lease agreement between the Effingham County Board of Commissioners and Effingham County Board of Education. Item number 2 is consideration to approve to accept the Georgia Emergency Communication Authority, GECA 9/11 training grant. Item number 3 is an agreement, consideration to approve to renew the cooperative agreement with the Georgia Forestry Commission. Item number 4 is another agreement, consideration to approve to renew the license agreement with Verizon Wireless for site number 133762 in Springfield. Item number 5 are fire releases. This is consideration to approve fire releases as approved by the fire chief and submitted by the administrative staff. Excuse me. Item number 6 is sanitation releases. And this is consideration to approve sanitation releases as approved by the tax commissioner and fire chief and submitted by the administrative staff. And the last item on the consent agenda is item number 7. It's an agreement consideration to approve to execute a memorandum of agreement with United Way of the Coastal Empire for the purpose of establishing a disaster relief fund. To have a motion to approve the consent agenda, 7 items.
Make a motion to approve as read.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Roper, second by Mr. Deloach to approve the consent agenda as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the consent agenda items are approved. We have no old business as they were both withdrawn in the agenda. So we'll move to new business. Item number 1, new business. It's an agreement. Consideration to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the cities of Springfield and Lincoln regarding the reimposition of the county special purpose local option sales tax.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The current T-Splost, or the 2017 T-Splost, expires June of 2022 and lasted 5 years. This time around, we are attempting to renew it with an IGA in place, which allows us to have the renewal period for 6 years. This IGA, and I am going to ask you to basically amend it, replace it with what I had emailed out to you last night and what I included with you today. It's just some minor wording changes with how the debt funds are paid out. It was a request by the cities. We think we've addressed all of their concerns in the IGA with the latest version. But the basics of the T-Splost is that there will be 20% off the top put aside, or $16 million for county-wide projects. Those are for services that the county offers to citizens regardless of whether they're in municipalities or in the unincorporated area. And then, of course, the remaining funds will be distributed based on population, with the county's portion of that being about 74.5% at the 2010 census levels. But once the 2020 numbers come out, which they're supposed to come out September 30th, and prior to us collecting on the new T-Splost, though we will update the numbers with the new percentages. And that's all worded within the IGA agreement itself.
Tim, the IGA is with all 3 cities. It wasn't listed that way in the agenda. You need to correct that agenda to say the city of Guyton as well.
We can include it, yes, sir.
Okay. Just want to we probably just make a note that we are in this IGA including all 3 cities.
Oh, it does include all 3 cities. It was in the staff report.
The
So I
agenda
think
item
we just
didn't list
did put it on.
items. Just want to make sure for the record, because we're not reading the IGA out loud tonight. It is all 3 cities.
The approval has an alternative one.
Yeah, but the agenda item didn't list itself. Yeah.
Staff report's correct, so.
The staff report is correct. Okay.
And so the staff is recommending alternative number 1 is to approve the IGA.
Are there any questions on the IGA from the board? Do you have a motion to approve alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Burdette to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 2 under new business, consideration to approve a tax refund request submitted by Jacqueline Skay related to a property located at 105 Cooley Trail, Guyton, map number 277A, parcel number 43.
So the tax assessor's office, my office, had incorrectly charged Mrs. Skay with 2 acres too many since 2006. We were able to refund her for 2018, 2019, and 2020. Georgia law only allows our office to refund back 3 years, which we did. Speaking to Mrs. Skay, she wanted it refunded all the way back to 2006, which is when the error occurred. My office is unable to do that, but I believe the law allows for y'all to cure any type of tax refund since you're the taxing authority. But our recommendation is not to refund past 2018. According to Georgia law, that's all we can do. But
So the recommendation of staff is to not provide additional refund than what you've already provided? Is that what you're saying?
that's correct. That's correct.
Is Ms. Skay on the line?
Yes, I am, Your Honor. I do not understand, since we didn't have any way of knowing what the acreage was. We showed 8 acres, everything that we ever had showed 8 acres. It was unknown to us that there was some land deal that was done without being reported. It took away 2 of the acres, and I paid taxes on the land that I bought and the land that I was taxed on.
So with the land deal, Ms. Skay discovered that there was 2 extra acres she was being taxed on?
Yes, that's
She wasn't
correct.
aware of?
That's
What kind of
correct.
land deal? What land deal is she referencing?
I'm not sure if it was, I don't know originally how the 2 acres was gone. I don't know if it was through, county right of way or what exactly, how the 2 acres changed. I don't know if it was.
Go ahead.
But there was nothing to give us notice. There was nothing to give us notice that those 2 acres were taken away. We don't even know when that occurred. We never learned about it until we went to sell the property and it got surveyed.
Well, it wasn't taken away, it's not like it was added.
No, according to my records, we were charging her with 2 acres too many.
Right.
What was the deed? What was the original deed? Was it 7 acres or 5 acres?
I forget how
Yeah,
many.
exactly. The original deed said almost 8 acres. That's what we've been paying taxes on all this time. And apparently somebody, and I don't even know who, unless it was the original owner back, let me see what his name would have been. George Strickland. I mean, I don't know if he sold those 2 acres, or those 2 acres out from us somehow, which never got recorded.
I
I really don't know what happened.
Let me
Yeah,
ask
so-
a question, and maybe Lee involved here. Lee, it sounds like the deed is for,
I'm so sorry, I don't know. I
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just, the chairman is just asking a
Attorney.
question to the attorney.
if something happened and she's paying for 2 acres more because the deed was incorrect, is the deed incorrect?
No, the deed is correct. So the deed was for 6 acres. Somebody input into our system
Not the old deed.
8 acres
Okay.
incorrectly.
Did the 2 acres,
Yeah, I never received.
did that get paid by, hang on a minute, just
Hold on
trying to
one
clarify
second.
something happened here. There's 8 acres, so were there 2 extra acres that were assessed in?
There was always 6 acres.
Right, but there was 2 extra acres that were assessed taxes?
Yes, yes.
So we didn't lose any money. It wasn't like
No,
somebody else, we were collecting extra money.
we were collecting extra money.
Were the 2 acres paid on somebody else's behalf?
That's what I was wondering, was it paid on somebody else's behalf?
I don't think so. I just think, I think it was simply an error of entering in 8 rather than 6, is what it appears to me.
Lee, is there any problem if the board wants to move forward to refund since the state requires 18? Because if it wasn't, if we
And
lost any money,
Yeah,
we could consider it.
Yeah, probably my recommendation is to table it tonight. I probably just need to look at that. I mean, it just sounds like it was truly a mistake. And they were overtaxed all those years, but let me just take a look at it.
All right, if you could relate to Ms. Kate, because she now to hear me, that attorney said we should table it.
Sorry.
Ms. Skaggs, yeah, the county attorney has requested that we table this for this evening, just so he can review the documents on it and see if he can get to the bottom on, as to whether it was truly just an input error, which is what we're hearing now, so we can come back and make a recommendation to the board. So we'll be tabling
Here's
it
the thing. Yeah, I hear you. Are you tabling it to when?
to the 17th.
Of August?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that enough time, Lou?
At the same time?
Yeah, I think it's a simple
Yes, ma'am.
question.
Okay, because here's the thing, I never received the recorded deed, so I never had any way of knowing if it was 6 acres or 8 acres. I just paid the taxes on the bills I received.
Okay.
Yeah, and the board's, my question is, if we tax
And I
the
don't know
treasurer's
if that
office
goes
and
back
out
to
there,
the
we might
attorney
should
and
consider
the
refund, but
I
it's,
agree. If we double dip, but
yeah, between 2 property owners, and they need to handle, somebody's paid somebody else's taxes.
yeah, I don't think that happened. I think it was just a simply, I mean, the deed clearly said 6 acres. It was a factual error on my office's part.
Okay.
I got you. So Lee can look at 2 things, the documents on that, and our
But
ability
if
to
I
go
never
ahead and
received
relieve
it, you can
past
see,
18.
you can see wherever it ever got mailed, it never got mailed.
Right,
But it got recorded by the attorney, but I never saw it.
right, and so,
Never-
Just relate, Ms. Kate, we understand your concern and your frustration with it. We're going to try to address it in a very timely manner. So I'm going to ask for a motion to table tonight, and we'll give you a final resolution at the next meeting.
we're making he's making a motion to table, and so we can address it at the next meeting.
All right.
Okay?
To give the attorney time to look at it.
That's right.
Okay. Motion to table to August 17th.
I make a motion to table item number 2 of the new business to August 17th.
check.
Motion by Mr. Burnett, second by Mr. Kiefer, to
Yes.
table to August 17th. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. It carries. There's a couple simple
Thank you.
questions that will resolve. Ms. Day will get you an answer pretty quickly. Item number 3, consideration to approve an assemblage permit for Melissa Reagan, Madrick Farms, to hold a pumpkin patch entertainment and vendors over 5 weeks in October from 10 o'clock a.m. to 7 p.m. located at 580 Alphawan Road. This is Rankin map number 411, parcel number 24.
So for several years, Ms. Reagan has been requesting and receiving assemblage permits to hold this pumpkin patch event throughout October. And it has been approved, and it has, in the past, we've always had requirement that we show legal access. And so there is an easement serving this property. There's been some dispute about easement and whether the correct easement is being used. And in the past year, sometime last year, the owner of the land on which the easement is located apparently created new access and not paved so much as created a surface on it. I spoke with code enforcement just before I came here today. He said it was more of a wood chip type of coating on the road that was created last year. So Ms. Reagan did request another assemblage permit this year, and based on all of the submittals that she provided in your packet there, and it includes her health department application to be a food vendor organizer, and the deed and the plat. Staff is recommending approval, but I understand there will be some discussion over whether we are focusing on the legal easement or the easement that's been used. I'm not entirely clear.
I read it thoroughly and I looked that up. I recommend that the board consider moving forward with the permitting and let it be the property owners to determine how they're going to get to and from, working with our sheriff and all the other departments. That's probably not for us to decide.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, if it's legal and we're following code.
They need to make sure they have good access on and off the property. As long as they're not parking in the streets, not creating an issue for our sheriff and our public safety. I don't want to get in the middle of anything else.
Yeah, it's civil matter.
She's hired some deputy sheriff. She's hired some deputy sheriffs to be there to help with.
Yes, just like they're taking care of things they need to take care of. The only concern I heard was raised with the new easement is not maybe adequate for the road, but if they want their adventure to be a success, they'll take care of that. That's up to them.
I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all have about anything.
State your name.
Melissa Reagan, sorry.
This is right. All right, she's here to answer any questions. If you have no questions, I entertain a motion to approve alternative one.
I have something to say about that.
All right, you can microphone.
Hi, I'm Sherry Murphy. I'm the landlord next door. We've been in dispute with the road for a long time. Since last pumpkin patch, they have not repaired anything they have caused to this day. Also, this is an assemblage permit for the 17 acres, not the 5 acres that she is also including in this. The business is to run on just the 17 acres, to my understanding, not the extra 5 acres, because that is AR1. AR2, I'm sorry. AR1 is in fact grandfathered in, when AR2 is not. They have to follow the current ordinances.
Does this impact anything that you got in your report? I mean, this is going to take place on Ms. Reagan's property, right? There's just...
Yeah, the assemblage permit application included the PIN for one parcel, and I didn't make assumptions about whether it was using additional parcels. The ordinance language about assemblage permit is quite short. It really refers to assemblages on public property, and it's only applicable here really because there's potential spillover onto public roads, and we don't really have a lot of provisions other than...
We're not giving a permit if we approve this, we're asking maybe leave you away to be on somebody else's property. We're just permitting you on your property to have assemblage.
Any impacts on public property, right? That's
And
what
any
we're...
public property.
Yeah.
Which in this case would be the right-of-way,
Right.
as they cross over it to get to the property and the street.
Our public right-of-ways and their properties, all this assemblage permit is, we're not getting into whether...
So the ordinances don't fall into play for the AR2 at all?
I'm not sure what you're referencing.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Because they run their business on another parcel besides the 17 acres.
That's what you put in the application.
Both parcels are your parcels? Yes.
One's their husband's and one's hers, yes.
Okay, both parcels that's going to be on her property. Is there any issue, Lee, with either of the parcels that...
They have to follow the ordinances, correct?
I'm asking the attorneys. Is there any violation of the ordinance in this case?
I haven't looked at it in any detail, but I mean, is it just, where is it going to be? Which parcel is it going to be on?
On both.
So
This way you need to answer these questions, you want to come to the microphone? So that if you.
So the request is for the large parcel where generally the maze is. There's an addition, which is an AR1, there's an additional parcel, I don't know how many acres it is, a smaller parcel that, are you using it for parking or something?
Yeah, I believe that's what she is referring to. My husband does own a separate piece that was given to us by his stepfather. So I believe that's what she was referring to.
Do you amend the application?
there's
to
parking
include
and a
that
pond.
Into?
The application has that, both parcels on there.
It should all of our 22 acres, yes, sir.
Right.
I guess I'm not following. If the application includes both parcels, I'm not sure what we're talking about.
Well, I guess the lady that was raising the question, can you do it on AR2? Is that a 5 acre parcel? Teresa, is the 5 acre parcel a different zoning? And I think she's asking, can that send us?
So it's not could have been AR1,
Yeah.
but it might be AR2.
So the application is only for one parcel, so I would recommend to get this, if they're going to use it for parking, to include the second parcel as well.
I thought it was already in the application, the second parcel.
No, that's only one,
Look at the top line.
there's only one parcel number.
Application is what he's referring to.
If you look at the drawing that's in the paperwork that I submitted to you, we've never looked at our parcels as separate parcels. It does include where our parking is. So
I mean, in fairness to that, it doesn't give you an option to put a second parcel in that.
Yeah, okay.
And I just refer to prior permits with a parcel number on it. It was an honest mistake on my part. I apologize for not adding the second.
So we can approve it, and you're saying maybe she should amend it? I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
She owns all the land.
she owns all the land. I mean, it's
She owns
zoning doesn't matter.
all the land, she's not using somebody else's land.
And to your point as well, this really is about how it affects the publicly owned assets, which is the road and the right-of-way, and regardless of whether they use one parcel or the two parcels, it's not going to change the effect on that. So, it's either here nor there, but, it's, you can add it, you cannot add it. If you want to add it, you can. If not, it doesn't affect the
I'm
assemblage.
going to entertain a motion to approve the permit, alternative 1 as staff has recommended. If it gets denied, then we'll look at some other alternatives. So do I have a motion to approve alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternate number 1.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Lucas, second, Mr. Roach, to approve alternative 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Hearing none, it passed unanimously. So,
Thank you all. I appreciate your consideration.
item number 4, consideration to approve a final plat revision for lot number 23 and 25 located in Country Acre subdivision.
Last meeting, we approved the rezoning of a small section. This is essentially a property line movement between siblings, and because it's in a major subdivision, it has to come back before you as a major subdivision final plat revision. But if you remember, this was just merely moving the property line over to make lot 25 smaller and lot 23 a little larger, because they're siblings and one is going to be selling, and so he's ceded. He's giving some extra land to his sibling. So it's basically
Any
something.
questions or discussions from anybody on the board? So motion to approve alternative 1.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carried. Did I miss something?
No, just curious which district.
That's something we always.
I know we always ask the district.
So we used to see it on the.
Yeah.
You
gotta get used to it.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Can you add that, which district?
It's on the staff report.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it might be good to put on the end if it's not.
Sure.
I do like the numbers being in order. All right. Number 5, consideration to approve the published job descriptions for new positions approved in the 21-22 fiscal year budget.
Yes, sir. Vicki Dunn, HR Director. Staff is requesting authorization to publish some job descriptions. Some are for new positions and others are replacement positions for positions that we've had on the budget for the last couple of years. The new positions, brand new, that were just added this year was our Deputy County Clerk position, which will provide administrative support to our county clerk and to the board. And the other brand new position is our Facilities Planner. This is an administrative position to help our facility superintendent keep up with paperwork like your purchase cards and things like that. The Assistant County Manager job description, this is not a new position. The position itself was authorized on 11/17/2020 meeting, and it was added to our budget last year. It is the replacement for our county engineer. We had Mr. George at one time, he left, and then the position was changed to the Assistant County Manager. This is just a finalized position description for him, or for that position. Our Deputy Fire Chief, strictly a name change. The duties and responsibilities remain the same, it's just a name change. Our Projects Coordinator, this is replacing our Executive Assistant assigned to the County Commissioners and County Manager. And again, it's just basically, it is new job duties and responsibilities, but it's not adding a position, it's just replacing one for the other. In our customer service.
That's a position we have not hired yet?
What's that?
That's a position we have not hired yet, or have hired?
That's Laura.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just going to be a title change.
Title and responsibilities.
Okay.
And then finally, our customer service specialist, same thing. This is currently our receptionist, and we have just changed her job description to include some of the duties she'll be performing that'll mainly come into effect when the move to the new building is completed. The job descriptions have been reviewed and approved by the county manager and have been approved as true to form by the county attorney. Staff is recommending alternative 1.
And if I can bring up one point on the deputy clerk, that replaced, we eliminated one position and moved that same person over there with a new title.
Correct.
So that
Was the
really wasn't
sanitation.
creating an extra position, it was just,
We took the funding from the sanitation department and moved it to the county commission.
The question on the project coordinator, the reason I was confused on that, I was thinking at one time at our workshop, we had talked about the issue to what Laura's doing for you guys.
we are going to do a capital projects manager.
Capital project, that's what it was.
But it's only funded for half a year, and the reason is because we don't have any room to put them in here, and so we have to wait till we.
So we are still doing with a capital project coordinator to help keep our
Right.
40 projects going.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Laura's going to help me kind of keep the smaller stuff in line with the department heads.
I understand. That was my confusion of the project coordinator. I was looking for that new position that we discussed. Okay, very good. Any other questions? We have a motion for alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed no. And it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 6, consideration to approve additional positive pay banking services for all branch banking and trust accounts.
Christy Carpenter, Finance Director. In 2018, we put positive pay services on one account, and we would like to add that to several other accounts. In the staff report, we are requesting all accounts, as that would be the safest thing to do, to add it to all of them. You do have some options. We could add it to all, we could add it to none. We can go through the list and pick and choose however you'd like to move forward with that, but I think that we do need to add it to some additional accounts that have a lot of activity going through them, if not all of them.
I agree. I'm glad we got on general fund. I did ask Christy if she would, I think it's better to go ahead and approve it tonight. The board would do that. 27 accounts, or maybe some accounts are just simply transfers from our accounts to other of our accounts that may not need this and might save us some money because it is close to 40 grand if we do them all. And so I suggest.
And we do have earnings credits that we earn credits that help pay for those fees. So it doesn't mean that money will actually go out the door, but there's the potential that it will, so that's why you have those numbers.
I was just gonna say, I'm gonna support staff recommend we approve it tonight, but ask them to go back and relook at it, because I hate the 8 or 10 accounts that need it tomorrow. But recently we had about 60, I think I said, checks that tried to force them to get through our accounts and positive pay, probably don't get on fine. So I recommend we approve it, but ask our staff to revisit and see if there's maybe a dozen of these accounts we don't need to do. With that understanding, I'll ask for a motion to create alternative one.
Well,
Okay,
I've got some comments on this. Christie and I talked several times today on this, email. Doing what I do, I negotiate work with banks all the time, and in this particular case, we'll be spending between $32,000 and $45,000 a month, a year on this program, which is fun. I think it's a needed program, but I think it's time we send it up, and this is a suggestion from Christie as an alternative to do an RFP for new banks, and let BB&T come back at us with an RFP as well, maybe make it a little more competitive. We have a very strong bank account as far as overall. We have 32 accounts, they total $34 million. A lot of banks will waive fees. And a lot of banks won't charge us anything to do the same thing. And we might also have an increased on what we get for interest on the money that we have so far. We might get a better interest rate or something like that. It could really generate and save us $100,000 a year. So
I think we did, didn't we do that 3 or 4 years ago? Go out and,
I think we did it with Lisa was with us, and Jamie might get us with us because he's our banker on the board.
First ever doing that with checking accounts.
Well, it's got so large. If we can avoid these fees, that's a big chunk right there. It'd be a pain in the butt to do, for sure. But I've done so much stuff in my business. I've saved myself some money. If you're doing a lot of business with banks, and Jamie knows this, I'd like to see smaller banks like Queensboro, Harris, and some other ones get a shot at working with us, and maybe we'll reduce some of these fees and increase our interest. And that's
it'd be worth looking at.
if we could save our constituents $50,000, we need to do that, I think.
And I know we've had a problem in the past when actually a lot of banks willing to bank us because
Except to collateralize.
That's
yeah,
the problem.
it's government money, banks have to.
We don't
handle it.
have, they're not as excited about our $30 million in the bank or whatever
Yes,
it
we
is.
think they should be.
Because they have to collateralize it. They can't reinvest that money. Is that the correct statement, Junior? So the issue becomes what services can they provide? Because they're going to get fees for the services, and that's where you really get the competition, is that this bank provides more services, and they're willing to give us a little bit benefit maybe on the service fee cost. But they don't make a lot of money, if any money, on our money, because they have to collateralize it. All government funds have to collateralize. Is that, you understand too, Christie? That's why we don't do a lot of it.
I talked to Queensboro, they would love the chance to
I think it's worth asking.
do a proposal with
The Board of Education is every 3 or 5 years, the Board of Education, they set out an RFP.
I think it'd be a smart, prudent thing to do, like we owe it to our taxpayers to be
No,
diligent.
I'm agreeing that we could do it, I just don't, I'm not sure we're going to see the big savings that were mentioned, just because.
Well, that until we did it. And we didn't know we were going to get, $1 million savings from that land until we had it.
I hear you,
That's
I'm
a due
just,
diligence thing.
Just for the record, I would recuse myself from that whole process, and I would not be involved on Barris's side. I mean,
Exactly.
just,
Not
I
that we
would
would
not be
have.
involved.
But, there's a small bank, it's a Georgia bank. Queensboro's a small bank, I think we should allow, they know what to get, that's it, that may be the tool they desire and save a lot of money for our taxpayers.
no, it's worth looking at.
So I would want, I'm not going to vote for this tonight, but it's a lot of money to put out there rather than the RFP and move it. Once we've had some kind of major fraud.
We have.
So how much money have we lost?
We have positive pay on the general fund, it's probably over, I'm guessing over 6 to 10 grand, it could have been, they did not have
We've got
positive pay.
30 whatever accounts, but we have any problem with those.
Well, that's why I want to go back and look at it, but you can have it
I don't
tomorrow.
want to jump on this when we have, I don't have a bat, I don't, you guys do what you want to. This is the way I would treat my own business, and I feel like I should bring that to the table when I'm representing the county. I want to save myself
Goodbye.
some money. I want to save that same money for the county. Actually, the same money.
So what you're proposing is we pass it, and then go back and whittle that down, not all.
Yeah, I don't think all 27 accounts need to be on there. That much I agree with Mr. Burdette on that one. I hate not putting this control on, it's about $2,700 a month. That gives them time and to secure those 5 or 6 or 8 accounts that do a lot of activity that could be detrimental. Because the technology out there for scamming is so good these days. And we probably should already have one of those accounts. That's what I'm suggesting we do it. Then come back to us the recommendation for something less. You want to deny it, that's fine as well too, but,
Can we limit it tonight to 10 accounts? Or we're not? Which we're having some.
Yeah, that's right.
Could you speak to that? Would that help you just go ahead and pick out the 10 additional, well, we'll say 10 including the general fund, so 9 additional accounts that you'd like to see it on, and then still come back with us with recommendation, because it may take us 6 months to do an RFP and get it out.
We could, and I agree with that. But we might already be this thing, and the NT still be the best one, and save us still on it.
Right, but I still like to see the security in the next 6 months while we're doing that.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
I would agree with that, but I'd like to limit it to 10 if we can do that.
And I'm good with that, because that's kind of the number I have in mind, I'll just let them choose that later. So I'll entertain a motion to approve positive pay for up to 10 counts at the discretion of our finance director and our county manager. Is that okay? Did you get that, Ms. Stephanie? All right, you have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Kiefer, I think I heard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. You've got to approve up to 10 counts.
Thank you.
No, at least approve our security level, looking for an RFP on our grant.
We need to add
Thank you very much.
to allow her to go ahead and do an RFP, get that process going. How we're-
Then that could just be a board to direct them to start looking at.
Just to proceed as a board director, go ahead and put together RFP and present it to us as quickly as possible for us to approve, to go out and look at our bank accounts. Good comment, I appreciate it. All right, now number 7. Consideration to approve a partial distribution of T-Splost bond funding to the cities of Springfield and Guyton.
Yes, sir. So this request is to allow us to disperse 25% of the remaining balances to Springfield and Guyton. If you remember when we did the T-Splost, we got the bond, we were going to give them their portions, but we have to get a new IGA to be able to do that. As of right now, the state is sending them their monthly payments directly, and we are keeping track of that on our side, but we would like to give them some money so they can start their projects.
Why only 25%? Just a quick question, since we'll probably get this resolved in the next 3 or 4 months, aren't we?
And that's a team question.
Well, and I'll tell you,
Is
my
that the
basis
same
on that is, my concern with regards to, kind of the bond covenants or the lending documents that are associated with this. They basically stated that we would be getting the funds directly from the Department of Revenue. And so my concern is distributing too much funds up front, whether or not,
That could raise concern.
that raises concerns to the bank that gave us the private placement. So we resolve it, we give them 25%, then we resolve it, then we release the other 75%.
Sounds good. And it'll encourage them to get their IGAs back to us.
That's it. Because then there's the issue, then we got to get that IGA to DOR, and then DOR is going to change how they distribute it, and that could all take months.
All right. So you're asking for alternative 1. Is there a motion to approve alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Locust, second by Mr. Deloach to approve alternative 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 8, consideration to approve resolution number 21-038 for Becky Shea services with the Effingham County Chamber of Commerce. And she's retiring, and our clerk is going to read a resolution that the chamber has asked us to provide in recognition of her service. After she reads it on that termination.
Resolution reads as follows. From the Office of the Board of Commissioners, Effingham County, Georgia, for your service to the Effingham County Chamber of Commerce. Whereas Becky Clark Shea is a lifelong resident of southeastern Georgia, living now in Rankin with her husband Pat. She has a son, Chris, and 3 granddaughters, and holds an associate degree from Armstrong Atlantic State University. And whereas she has worked for 35 years as an executive assistant at International Paper and JCB Construction Incorporated before becoming the Effingham County Chamber of Commerce in January of 2012. Whereas she has served with distinction as the Chamber's office manager and membership coordinator for more than 8 years, and she has been a vital help to the Board of Directors and the Chief Executive throughout the transition process, managing projects such as Effingham Day at the Capitol, the Community Leadership Retreat, and the Eggs and Issues Legislative Breakfast, among others. Whereas her cheerful optimism and friendly demeanor are an inspiration to all who interact with her personally and professionally. Her presence will be missed as she officially retired from the Chamber office March 27th of 2020. Now therefore be it resolved by the Effingham County Board of Commissioners to recognize the outstanding service provided to the Effingham County during her tenure on this 3rd day of August, the year of our Lord 2021. And it notes for each of your signatures.
Any comments from anyone on the board?
Unfortunately, they've canceled the banquet already this year.
They did. They're postponing. This resolution was going to be presented at that banquet to her, but they have postponed it.
Just means, are the dates correct in here? I just want to make sure.
This was given to me by Mr. Cripps,
Okay.
so
It
everything.
is what it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So in recognition of honorable service, do you have a motion to approve alternative one?
Make a motion to approve alternative
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Burdette, to approve alternative one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it passes unanimously. Item number 9, consideration to approve to ratify the purchase of a replacement generator from Cummins in the amount of $23,182.27 for the North Communication Tower located at 33576 Highway 21 North, Springfield.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Allison Bruton, purchasing agent. The generator on site at the North Tower is no longer operational. 3 quotes were obtained for the generator, the lowest being Cummins at the $23,000 figure. There was a quote also obtained from Yancey Brothers, I believe, which has a state contract. This actually came in under that. There is $28,000 included in this fiscal year's budget to replace this generator, so we are under budget. Staff recommends alternative 1.
Quick question. What happened to the generator?
I believe there was a lightning strike, and that caused the generator to no longer functions.
Yes, sir. This particular generator we've been having issues with for almost 2 years now, and we've had several people out looking to try to fix it, but it has taken multiple lightning strikes. We have actually increased the grounding on it as well, but it's just reached the point where they said it'd be cheaper to replace it than it would be to keep repairing it.
Have you turned it into insurance? Lightning strike should be covered by insurance, shouldn't it?
I can check for sure. I haven't.
And trying to pin down which lightning strike took it out would be difficult.
Well, actually, whether it has that information, if you say that it was taken out by a lightning storm, if you know when it went down, like it went down in March of 2021, okay, and they'll look and see if there was any lightning storms in the area. But that should always be our first line, because we've gotten roofs replaced from hail, we've gotten other things replaced. So I'm not sure that's going to cover insurance. You have a comment?
Yeah. The county does not have an excavator to pick that thing up and move it and unload the new one. I mean, it can't be that heavy, 50,000 watt.
I'm
The
sorry.
excavator ought to pick it up, right?
There's
Should have
a,
hired somebody to do it?
there's Fred Ryan stated that the county staff should be able to replace it, but there is a $500 rental for a crane to help. If that's what you're asking to, I guess, take out the old one and put in the new one. So there will be a crane rental for that.
So what I'm saying is you can't do it with the excavator?
I'm not sure. I was told that a crane was needed.
If it becomes, I don't know how much it weighs, but a 50,000 watt generator is not that big.
I can definitely ask Fred Ryan about that, but I was told a crane was needed. So. Oh, it won't reach.
It won't reach, and also there's a fence and everything around it, so all that would have to be taken down, but yeah, so.
I couldn't tell looking through here whether or not Yancey Brothers was, theirs including installation, or was it just the sale of the unit itself?
All 3 quotes should just be for the generator itself.
Just the generator itself, okay.
Are we gonna take precautions with additional grounding or something to protect this one? What's the plan there? And are we responsible for that, or do they give recommendations of what needs to be done to protect the equipment in the future? I mean, how do we know? Yeah, I mean, I just say, we turn around and have the same problem and next storm, what do we, you know?
Did they ever build a shelter or some sorts? Just don't work on it.
Chris Reed, IT Director. I know we have had Motorola come out and do grounding surveys on all 3 of the sites. We did have to have increased grounding put in at the landfill tower site and the sites along that line. I don't remember any additional grounding recommendations from them for that north tower site, but I can go back and look at what we have in our documentation for that.
Well, I need to check it, because if it didn't work for this one, it's not gonna work for the new one.
Right.
Is it taking?
Probably nothing's foolproof. I mean, they are just large lightning rods.
Is it taking direct hits or is it cloud to ground? Or do we know?
There's a 400-foot tower right there within 15 feet from it. It could be coming straight down that tower into, the generator sits between the tower and the communications box, the main room. So as that lightning comes down, it comes down to the first available thing it can find.
It can be located a little further.
We have the same thing about, they got grounds everywhere for all that equipment. We take it off the trash at all the time, it works. So,
But regardless, we need to get one there, because we have another event.
I'm not questioning the need to get one to replace it, but I am questioning that we have not, whoever looked at it said it was a lightning strike, that document with that date should be turned into our insurance company, and I believe they'll pay. And this won't be a cost to us. So somebody looked at it, determined it was a lightning strike. They have a service call, there's a document that shows that. You provide that like we do in other documents to the insurance companies, say CCG insurance, and we should be covered. Our deductible was probably, what, $5 grand? Something like that?
I think it's 2,500.
500?
2,500.
2,500. I'm pretty confident if you got the documentation that somebody looked at it and said it was a lightning strike, insurance company have a hard time because they got the weather service, they can look and see whether it was a lightning storm in that area at that time. You probably have other claims for other folks. I believe you'll get them covered. So I want to ask you to go ahead and do that, give a report to us at the next meeting.
Okay.
That's been done and see what the insurance says. Nothing to do with proving what we got to have, but definitely see if we can get some of that $24,000 back.
I'm going to check with them first before we make the purchase. You may have to go through a procedure through the insurance company where they have to adjust it first and then pay for it.
well, this says emergency purchase, so right now, the tower can go down, I guess, or.
Right.
Yeah, we can purchase it. I'm pretty confident that the insurance, I mean, you check the ladies if he disagrees, but I think we can purchase it, but just don't discard it. We're going to take it off till the pictures are made, the documents are found, whoever serviced it said it was a lightning strike. Put all that together and go ahead and call the insurance company ASAP.
Is it insured up to full replacement cost, or is it, appreciated value?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't even need to make an application for it. It may only be $10,000 or $5,000, but it's something
Better than zero.
better than zero, that's right.
And I consult somebody about additional grounding or whatever to try to protect.
It might pay for the cost of additional rent, we get the insurance.
I'll definitely reach out to them in the morning, and I apologize, that was an oversight on my part. I know the plans had been to replace the generator for, I think it's been budgeted a couple years now. So I knew it's been on its last leg for a while from what I heard, and it just did not occur to me. So I do apologize for that.
Okay. Sounds good. Anytime anything goes by like anywhere you can, first thing, let's go to insurance to see what the details.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're still on alternative one. Any other comments? Motion to approve alternative one.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Motion, Mr. Floyd, second, Mr. Burdette, to approve alternative one. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It carries. Item number 10, consideration to approve an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement for juvenile court in the Judicial Circuit for fiscal year 2022.
Yes, sir. Under this agreement, Effingham County is the fiscal agent for juvenile court. The amount due to be reimbursed by the counties due to updated budget requests is $103,924.11. Effingham County's share of this updated total is $38,046.62 based on the population distribution percentage. Staff's recommending alternative one.
Any questions? Motion for alternative one.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Loper, second by Mr. Deloche to approve alternative one. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item number 11, consideration to approve a memorandum of agreement with Savannah Technical College in the amount of $3,150 to facilitate a review and update of the standard operating practices used for permitting processes and review related to Development Service Department.
Good evening, Commission. This is Eric Larson, Assistant County Manager. As you just read, we're engaging through an MOU as another governmental agency. The Savannah Technical College can enter into those type of agreements with us to facilitate a discussion with our staff of our standard operating procedures in the permit processing mainly. Development Services takes in a variety type of permits, as you're well aware, and that goes through a process. It passes through many hands as it's being reviewed and approved and inspected. And so what the technical college is going to do is facilitate that discussion, learn our processes, chart those out both narratively and graphically. And then the final document, which is actually it's a very short project if you see 3 weeks. The final document is a published standard operating procedures for permitting that will both facilitate internal processes to be more efficient and less confusing, but also the public. And we'll put this final document on our website, and as applicants for anything from a building permit to a development plan to a business license, when they want to know what the process is, they'll be able to go to our website and see these documents and see these flow charts.
Are we gonna get a chance to okay that thing before we make part of our rules and regulations?
Yeah.
How do we know what they don't come up with?
Yeah,
They'll probably present.
I don't think the commission has to approve any standard operating practices.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is just approval to pay them a fee to come in and facilitate that
This is a
process.
proposal for them to come in and actually start changing stuff.
Well, the final document will come before you for approval. Yes.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
We don't know that, some things may change if we approve it in the final analysis, but more or less anything, it's really to document the right thing. So the reason I asked them before this meeting, is this going to help with the contract with developers and constituents? And they said, yes, it would, because that's my biggest concern. People say, I don't know what the processes are for getting permitted. Well, I didn't know I needed to do this, and I found out at the 9th hour. So if we have those in flow charts, you did this, no, they go here. You've done this, yes, they go here. And it'll
Yes, sir.
help us all move more comfortably, kindly through the process.
Yes, sir. Yeah, goal number one is to actually document our existing processes. Part of the discussion will be how can we make them more efficient? Not really change procedures and policies as much as it is just to make the process more efficient. Look at our application forms. We have duplicate forms that have the same information, and we require an applicant to fill out both, and there's just a lot of duplication. So if anything, the changes are going to be more efficient, but not a quote-unquote change in policy. But you'll still get an opportunity to look at the final product.
See
Yes, sir.
those inefficiencies in approval.
Right.
So, yeah.
You know, when I first saw this, I saw SOP, and I already write their own SOP, but actually, it's better from another standpoint, somebody from the outside looking in. That way, the average Joe looking at the permit process, I think it would be a better opportunity to really map that out from a different perspective than strictly, you know, your professional engineering eyes, that are way different than my novice eyes.
Yes.
Well, and we're used to doing things a certain way in our department, and we think everybody knows that, and they'll say, oh, it's not clear to me.
Yeah, exactly.
So they'll give that, and I think it's so low because the technical, they're probably using interns and they're getting credits for this work, I'm sure.
It's through the college, so yes,
It's
you're.
a price to get some SOPs recommended to us.
Right.
So I think using interns, where they're doing it at college, it's helping them.
Yes, sir.
Good, so I'm glad we're doing that. All this is going to make us more efficient. Everything we're doing with our zoning, SOPs, is good that we're addressing that.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments? Motion for alternative one?
Motion to approve alternative one. Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Kiefer to approve alternative one. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed no. And it passes.
Thank you.
Unanimously. Thank you. And we move to item number 13 because 12 is tabled to August 17th. Item number 13, we do have a list, so consideration to approve, I'm going to say countywide projects because that's the way we need to list this. It says level 2, but we're looking at countywide projects. The goal is to do an IGA. So consideration to approve countywide project list and the unincorporated project list associated with the reimposition of the countywide special purpose local option sales tax, LOST.
Yes, sir. At the last meeting, we approved a list and presented it to the municipalities. They had requested that we be a little bit more descriptive in our countywide projects. Since that money is coming off the top, the dollar values didn't change. We just kind of broke them up into more descriptive categories and particular project names. So that is essentially the essence of what you're voting on right now. We're just kind of updating the descriptions of the projects. And staff is approving alternative one.
Okay, has the commission had a chance to review, make sure these are the items that you remembered and you're still good with? Hey, Tim, one thing I just want to mention, we're not using our video anymore. This has been good for constituents to actually see the list again. Is there a reason why we're not using the drop screen and putting these things on the board for the constituents?
I don't know. I mean, we normally do. I think they might have just forgot to put it up there today. We always do it for the planning commission portion of it.
Okay, I want to make sure when we have a list of those kind of things so constituents can see it, we can actually put them on board. It's going to be easier with our new facility, so.
Yeah, the news facility is going to have multiple screens to show it, so.
Okay, we have a motion for alternative one.
Make a motion for alternative one.
Second. Motion by Mr. Lowe, second by Mr. Lowe for alternative one. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed no. Hearing none, it passes unanimously. And that should conclude our business, new and old and consent agendas. We'll move on to number 12, reports from commission and administrative staff. So we'll do administrative staff first on that, commission.
Yeah, the only thing I would mention is I sent you some information that we may have to have some special meetings if we have to squeeze some changes in on T-Splost. We also have some applications for grants that are due by the end of the month. They just opened a window from the governor's grants. These are broadband and water and sewer type projects. And we're doing our best to get those written up so we can get them on the 17th agenda. But they can be extremely voluminous, so we may have to have a meeting afterwards, or we just approve the application for the grant and not have the actual application available. So I just want to kind of put that on your radar. And other than that, that concludes my report.
Go to our clerk.
all have received individual invitations for this. The IDA has moved. They're doing a drop-in reception on August the 12th. It's from noon to 7 p.m. You should have this in your boxes. And also Commissioner Burdette, Vice Chair Burdette mentioned having your bios along with your pictures on the website. I think it's a great idea. We're able to do that. So if you can get that to me, I can get that uploaded.
Yeah, the school board's upstaging this, they're doing a good job.
What's your character language?
10.
So people know a little bit about it.
That's all I have.
Yeah, I'm just ready. So maybe we can each work on a little brief bio.
Something short and sweet. Something short and sweet, not
Short and sweet,
yeah.
Short and sweet, okay. Anything else?
That's all.
Anything from any of our staff before I go to the board? Okay. I'll go around the room. Mr. Jason, you have any enforcement?
I don't have anything. I mean, I do have one thing. I got an email just before I came. Some fella roundabout on, where did he say that thing was? Hodgeville Road. And I think he sent it to everybody. I didn't bring it with me, but I just got it this afternoon. He says a red light will work better and it won't make his value of his property drop. Where if they do a roundabout, value of his property will drop. He's a retired fella.
Yeah, and I've talked with a couple of constituents this week on that, maybe others have as well. But I'm glad to let you know that we're in the process of just gathering information, and our transportation study folks will make a recommendation. They may recommend a roundabout. Those are very expensive. I don't know that this one here would encourage you to consider that. It's really something that's going to really improve safety. I think the lanes, there's a lot of things we can do. So once again, once they get that report, it's going to be a draft form. It'll come to us. There'll be a public, we've already got several opportunities for the public to make comments. They can go online right now and put there, I'd rather see a light, I'd rather see turn lanes. So I'd rather see turn lanes than a light. There's some things there. So they can make comments now, and then when it's done, we'll have a public hearing for everyone to have input on anything that might impact them.
He just wanted me to vote against it. He's asking all of us.
Yeah, we're not
I
voting.
can show all about it.
Yeah, we're a long ways to vote.
Nothing to vote against.
I know that. Yeah. If anybody's here tonight on the, anybody here tonight on the roundabout Hodgeville, I think there's some calls. That is not something that's been established. We had independent companies who give us, once again, we're like the 25th fastest growing county in the country, not the state. Based on the last census. So we're trying to get ahead of our transportation. Where do we need new roads to be created, safety issues and so forth. Obviously, that's one of the issues of Hodgeville, Collin County. Many of us have traveled that. We know that's a safety issue in the school, people going to work and all. So there's going to be an answer to how that's going to be better in the long run. I don't know that it's going to be a traffic circle. The contractors who are doing it, they're probably going to always recommend what they think is the highest benefit. But it comes with a high ticket too. Right. So we'll have to evaluate, all that. But there will be opportunity for public input if you hear for that. But that's going to be after we haven't seen the draft report. We've seen what you've seen. They're working on it. They'll finalize it. We'll get a report. We'll get more public input. And then eventually we'll get a master plan. And you'll have a lot of opportunity in the future.
Also, those roads are on T-Splost. We have to be mindful that we have followed what we put on our T-Splost list to be done. They're already slated on T-Splost for turning lanes at both ends of Coffee.
Exactly. And I'm talking.
We can go back and change that. Can we choose that? That's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons we put out the constituents before they vote on T-Splost.
Well, that's a different issue. We're going to do what we said with T-Splost, but if they came up, say in 6 months we approved the master plan, and don't say, I don't know we're going to approve it roundabout. Say we thought that was the best thing. It may be 2 or 3 years before we can consider some funding. Got to notify, there's so much to be done. So if part of my conversation with staff this week, Geneva, was that I believe once we get the turn lanes in, get the east-west corridor, we're going to find that intersection a lot better and safer anyway. And a lot of our concerns may be already resolved. So if you turn lanes, you probably can stay within our right-of-ways, we don't take people's properties up and those kind of things. So I think we got to get to the next 2 or 3 years, the T-Splost, get improvements. But it would be a good report. And and it'll be something on our radar we can look at. Does it need a lot? Does it need a roundabout? That'll be way down the future. But right now, T-Splost is to make it safer. So that's what we're going to do on that. Okay?
Good.
Oh, I know you got something. Yeah, we appreciate you said something about coming park.
Oh, yeah.
McCall Park, yeah.
Super excited.
That was great, great day.
Good.
I really enjoyed that. Appreciate you guys' hard work on that too. So, it'll make a lot of people happy, and everyone can be happy that means I did have a question about the retreat. We're going to work on suggestions as far as, we usually say, hey, maybe we could discuss this and discuss this, or we're still going to compile some things from all the commissioners and staff, an agenda basically on that.
We've been, yeah. We sent out emails asking for that about 2 months ago. Right. But that's fine. Yeah, if you've got some, I've given them some things that are important to me, and I'm actually working on my priority list, so I can share the chairman something that I see for the next 3 or 4 years or 5 years as priority. And hopefully you've all given our clerks and managers some items that you want to see on the agenda.
I never said about that.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it would probably be good if at the next meeting, if you can send it out to us, it'd be great, but at the next meeting before we go to our retreat, if we could review that in our commissioner time together, the agenda items.
Okay.
Okay? If you can get an email to us maybe the next couple of weeks before the next meeting, and then we can have an open discussion about those agenda items, even prioritizing the priorities, because there's a lot of things, and then we'll have a set agenda for our.
Maybe something we'll just a little research on before we talk about.
Yeah, I think they're doing some research on stuff like that. So if you got some stuff to give to them.
Just had a question for Stephanie, the hospital board, I know we talked about bringing something up on the agenda.
A letter of support. So I'm having a conversation with Dr. Rick at the hospital about it. That should be on your next agenda. We have upcoming interviews for the city of Guyton position in the next few weeks. I can't tell you what that date is because I can't think right now. But so that process is beginning.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware, but there's a four-way stop at Blue Jay. I have had more calls about that. I'm asking Eric 17? Yeah.
Yeah, it changed.
Well, the transportation board, they got like 90 days to complete. It's going to be a roundabout.
I know. So I think the ball was kind of fumbled in communicating to the public, because if you go on some of these websites, people's like, what are they doing? Why are they wasting our money? It's a state project, number one. But I'd like to see if there's some timeline as to when's the next shutdown for the next, I understand there's going to be 3 shutdowns. So it's like 3 different developments on this, and what the timeline is, so we can kind of get that out there.
Sure.
Because everybody's blaming us for any issues out there. It's a state project.
Forrest, y'all can get that from DOT, because I did. I thought everybody, all the commissioners.
Yeah, but we could disseminate it too, like on whatever media we have.
Media as well, but there's a list of about 50 names on that email I get that tell me
Yeah.
what's going on. I didn't realize, because somebody I didn't look. I'll start, shoot, you get it, don't you, Tim?
Yes.
Okay. We need to start giving that to them. I just assumed you had that. It tells
Somehow
you
that needs to be shared, you know, because,
I drove there Sunday and that same thing.
yeah, people,
Just around.
like I said, we're taking some of the heat, and it's not our project.
You know, I've gotten several calls already. My wife was one of them. She said, why did y'all change that?
I mean, it's on some of the, anyway, if we can get a timeline, I'd like to put that out there. It's like, hey, this is the next time it's going to be shut down, but this will be when it's completed.
Okay.
And so I'll at least have that as my district. I need to know.
Yeah. And I'll go back home and email to give T-Splost giveaway. And I'll send all those to you in the future. But it does look like we can all get it. Okay, anything else from anyone else? Do you have a need for executive session tonight?
No, sir.
All right, sounds good. So we got some executive session minutes. Need a motion to approve the July 26, 2021 special call meeting executive session minutes.
Make a motion to approve as presented. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Deloach to approve the executive session minutes of July 26. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries unanimously. If there's no other business, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Kiefer to adjourn this meeting. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Hearing none, we are adjourned.